Okay, so this is a part 2 video. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, go watch it. We're ranking all the characters in Stranger Things Season 4 chronologically. Yup, that's right, youngest to oldest. And in part 1, we got through all the kids except for Eddie, so you definitely don't want to miss it. Go make sure I put everyone in the right tiers. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm Michael J, and one day I want to be in Stranger Things myself. Not only that, but surprisingly enough, only 12% of the people watching this video right now are actually subscribed. Shout out to the 12%, but to everyone who hasn't subscribed yet, what are you even doing? It's totally free, it doesn't cost anything, and it really helps me out. Now, I've got an idea for a huge upcoming project, Stranger Things, and literally just with a subscribe button punch, you can help me inch closer to making my dream series. Also, for everyone that makes it to the end of the video, I have a small surprise for you, so make sure you watch until the end. Now, let's just pick up right where we left off with possibly the best one-season character the Duffer Brothers have ever created, and the only 19-year-old on the list. We have Eddie the Freak Munson. Now, just like Chrissy, everyone fell in love with Eddie way more than I was expecting, me included. I think he was another great addition to the gang this season. His chemistry with everyone was so spot on. His relationship with Dustin was really fun. Seeing him kind of squeeze in as Dustin's side Steve when Steve wasn't around was really cool. I really liked his role as the leader of Hellfire, as well as him being on the run. It was nice to have a character that was very quick to catch up on everything going on and come to terms with this new aspect of Hawkins that he learned about. Because everyone else in town, especially the parents, which we'll get to in a second, just seems so blinded and influenced like little sheep believing the most outlandish things. It was really nice to see Eddie trust the kids at first and eventually die the hero trying to save them along with the town that completely hated him. Personally, I think he got robbed of a true hero's death. That was such a big opportunity to really make a difference, and in the end, it didn't even seem like he needed to die. It would be really cool to see him come back in Season 5 either as a host for Vecna or be resurrected by him, but honestly, both of those theories are so far out. If you do like them though, go watch this video I just made on them. I go into the details and we figure out how it could actually happen, but honestly, if he was to return, I think most realistically, we'd see him come back through some sort of twisted nightmare memory of Dustin's if he ever became a target of Vecna. I could easily see Dustin having some guilt for not stopping Eddie from running back out there, or just because he died to save him and the kids and they all still lost. I loved the character though, would love to expand on some what if stuff with him and Chrissy, but he's going in best of the best for Season 4. Next up at 28 years old, we have Officer Callahan, and honestly, I think I'm going to do Chief Powell at the same time. I know he's further down the list at 47 years old, but still, I think they're such a good duo. I'm so happy that they've kept the same Hawkins police for all 4 seasons. Personally, I think they both work really well off of each other. In Season 4 specifically, they seemed a little overwhelmed and out of their depth without Hopper around to help them deal with all the supernatural things of Hawkins. Because you gotta remember, they're both still completely in the dark on everything going on, and Hopper's been basically taking care of everything behind their backs. I don't know what he says to them when they come into work the next day. I like that they're seeing a similar perspective as the rest of the town. They're trying to figure out everything going on with a more level head, kind of trying to keep everything under wraps and trying to make sense of it all while the rest of the town is absolutely losing their minds and going on manhunts for children. I really enjoyed the contrast, and I think my favorite moments with them is when they're interrogating the kids after the Watergate incident. You kind of gotta feel bad for them almost. I'm excited to see them in Season 5 though, and I think it would be really cool to see more of them in some way. Maybe a series of shorts or a spin-off series of their perspective going through the entire show as they try to solve all these crazy mysteries and make sense of all these things happening. I think that could have a lot of potential and be really funny. I'm going to put them together in the good tier. Now, Miss Kelly is an interesting character. She has so many things about her that make her so sus. Her being connected to all the victims Vecna targets in Season 4, the suspicious necklace that has a clock on a key like the grandfather clock. There's just way too many details to just not mention any of them. I couldn't help but feel like there's something we were supposed to get about her that just went over all of our heads. Overall, I did like her. I think she was a great character and actually tried helping all these kids who were basically sentenced to die by Vecna. I would love to see her put 2 and 2 together as all the kids she was talking to started showing up in the news dead, but we're going to put her in Matt just because she was a bit underutilized, I feel like. Okay, so this next one is one of the smallest characters I've decided to include in this list with barely any screen time at all, and that's Max's mom, Susan Hargrove. Oh yeah, Miss Kelly was 31 years old and Max's mom is 38 years old, just for anyone who's curious. Funny enough, I don't think she was barely ever on screen awake. She was either sleeping or Max saw a vision of her that turned into Vecna. But I feel like she needed to be on this list just for how bad of a character she was. Not even showing up to the hospital while her daughter is in a coma is just beyond me. Her daughter literally had a death sentence for a week and she was just passed out completely oblivious. Not that she could have known unless Max told her, but still, the no-show at the hospital is immediate worst tier for me. Next parent is Karen Wheeler, Mike's mom, at 39 years old, and I think I'm going to do Ted at the same time because honestly most of their screen time was together this season. Oh yeah, Ted is 48 by the way. Okay, so both of these two are really hard to rank because on one side they should be trusting their kids more, but on the other I think they're just trying to do their job as parents and make sure their kids aren't actually doing anything harmful or related to the killings. They had a lot of funny moments this season. I love Ted's comments on the situation, but I just wish they stood up for their kids more when everyone was accusing them at the town meeting. I mean, at one point, Ted Wheeler tells Chief Powell to threaten their own children with a little jail time to get them to talk.
Threaten them with a little jail time. Maybe that'll loosen their lips.
Okay. So you want to send...
And then it almost seems like Ted thinks his kids might be involved with the killings. So as much as I hate to do it, I think they're going to go at the top of meh, right behind Mike. I'm in a limbo with these two. I love them as characters, but I just wish they stood up for and trusted their kids more with all the rumors going around this season. Next, surprisingly, is Vecna, who is the same age as Karen. He's 39 years old at this point. Vecna was such a great bad guy. I thought it was so nice and refreshing to finally have a face in someone more human to get to know as the bad guy for this show. The Demogorgons, they're great, but they're just monsters, and the Mind Flayer is awesome, but he's literally just a cloud. Having Vecna talk with and communicate so much this season was really nice. And I really appreciated the Duffer Brothers pushing so hard to make him completely practical and avoid using CG so the actors could be more engulfed in the scene. I think it definitely added a lot to the season. My biggest problem with Vecna lies with his motives, which honestly start with young Henry Creel, who we already ranked in the first video. His fall to the dark side officially started after he killed his family, and from then on he was nothing but evil. Technically, Vecna is the kid's way of describing him since he was banished to the Upside Down, but I kind of feel like his orderly flashbacks are so close to this that they're the same. I really don't know where they're going with his motives and why he wants to kill everything and rebuild the entire world, but I hope they really flesh it out in season 5. But for the actual character himself, I think Vecna was a home run. The way he looked, the way he killed, the sounds they built around him and his mind space fortress and his link to the Creel house, everything was just so good. I think he easily goes in best of the best for season 4. I'm very happy with him as being the new big baddie for the rest of the show. The only reason he's going at the back is because the plot holes in his motives are so freaking big. The MVP, Agent Harmon, is up next, coming in at 40 years old. This guy was so OP in the Byers house shootout. The scene itself was one of the best in the entire show. I'm always a big fan of a oneer, especially when it's a close quarters shootout, and he just did an absolutely great job of protecting the kids, and for this scene alone, he gets to live on the good tier. Legit, one of the best hero deaths this season, saving the entire California storyline's characters. Murray Bauman is up next at 42 years old, and I absolutely love Murray. I was really happy we started off the season so strong with him and Joyce, and he was with us the entire way. I love him and Joyce's dynamic all season long, from starting out smashing the doll in the front yard.
One more thing. Joyce, are you there? Talk to me, Joyce!
To confronting Yuri with his fists of steel, all the way to him absolutely torching all the Russian Demogorgons, saving Hop and Joyce. Season 4 just wouldn't have been the same without him. I think Murray for me this season goes in the really good tier. Next, the only 43-year-old is Hopper, and honestly, Hopper did so well in the spotlight. I don't know if you remember, but pre-season 4, they were teasing Hopper's backstory so hard for this season. In season 2, Elle was cleaning up and found those boxes in the basement, one labeled Vietnam, one labeled New York, and one labeled Hawkins Lab. The last box they went through and explored so that Elle could find out about her mother, Terry Ives, but honestly, the other two boxes were never really explained through all of season 2 and 3. They actually released a book, Darkness on the Edge of Town, where they explained Hop's time in Vietnam as well as his time as a detective in New York. But as of now, who knows how much of that is canon? I did make a video on it if you want to know what happened, because honestly, it was really good. And while they do go over Hop's backstory this season, it wasn't as big of a plot point as as I was expecting it to be. They mentioned he was exposed to Agent Orange during Vietnam and he was the reason Sarah had complications and him and his wife split up, but New York was never touched on, unless that's all the documents on Sarah or something. But besides Hop's past, I think his screen time this season was very well spent for the most part. I loved his relationship with Dmitri, and his struggle in the prison just added so much to his character. I can't believe he got away with breaking and dislocating his ankles so many times and he was still able to walk each day. But 100% the best part of his time on this season was him finally being reunited with Joyce. Thank goodness we finally got the Jopper we deserved. They both deserved so much to finally be happy, and it was so nice to finally see these two have something go their way for once. After 4 seasons, we needed this break and so did they. For all the Jopper scenes alone, I'm putting Hop in best of the best. We need more backstory somewhere though. I would love seeing a spin-off show following a young Hopper as a detective in New York, solving mysteries and going undercover to stop some crime lords. I think that has so much potential as a spin-off. Surprisingly enough, next up is Joyce, who's apparently a year older than Hop. Interesting. But Joyce, just the same, was amazing. I'm so glad that she had a lot of time with Murray throughout all of 4. Her breaking the doll was one of the funniest parts of the entire season. And it was really funny to see her sneaking behind the kid's back to try to go to Russia, since it's usually the other way around.
You should just stay.
I'd be tempted, Joyce, except, you know, you have that,
Right, that business trip.
Business trip? What business trip? Ooh.
Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to tell you guys.
I wish we did get to see more of their journey back to the States after rescuing Hopper, but I feel like they didn't have any extra time to include that. I love seeing her next to Hopper and how tiny she is next to him. So happy they finally got reunited. I like seeing her influence and style on Elle's clothes and hairstyle. I think Joyce and Murray both went through so much to get Hop back, and even them just getting to the prison was such a huge feat, let alone finding and rescuing him and killing all the Demogorgons. And as crazy as she can be, I do think she's a good mom. I think she's going to go at the top of really good. She had a really good season. Next up is Ellen Stinson at 46. This is the woman working with Sam Owens and who helped Elle transfer from going to juvie to going to a hole in the desert. I think she might be one of the smallest side characters on this list. I'm not sure why I included her. Honestly, from the mystery they gave her in the trailers and how much they hyped up the woman stepping out of the car, I thought she would have had more significance or would have played a larger role. I didn't hate her, but I didn't love her. Unfortunately, she was just a little forgettable. I would love to see more of her though. I think she's going to sit in meh for now. Dmitri is one of the characters that felt the most unfinished to me. They set him up with such a great character arc, starting out as a Russian guard trying to make a quick buck to bonding with Hopper and fighting for his life side by side with him. I think him and Yuri both were done dirty with their conclusion. I love the emotional weight they added to his character by him wanting to make it out alive so he could return home to his family, and I'm so happy that they didn't kill him off to save Hopper or anything, but I just hated that they didn't show them flying back to the States or reuniting with his family. I don't think they had time for it, and they thought it would be better to just let us forget about Hopper and then try to surprise us with him and Elle's reunion, but it was so slow and kind of just missed the mark. It wasn't worth abandoning Dmitri and Yuri's storyline, you know? I think Dmitri goes in the good for me, and the only reason he's not higher is because they just didn't finish his arc. Yuri is next, being 47 as well, and honestly, I loved him a little too much. He was just crazy enough to be able to out-weird Murray and give him a run for his money. I just hated that he betrayed them and kept trying to be the bad guy. I love that Dimitri's pep talk inspired him to turn over a new leaf and actually do something heroic for once. I did wish that he was concluded a little better, and I'm really curious as to what happened to him after everything, and I wish he wasn't so much of an antagonist, but I still really liked him. He was a very fun addition to the storyline. I think he's going to join Dmitri in good as well. At 54 years old, we have the liar himself, Martin Brenner, and wow, was it good to finally see him return. I've been waiting for his return literally since they killed him off in season 1, which honestly I was kind of hoping for an explanation or a flashback showing how he survived, but all we got was a cool scar. It was really neat to see that ever since we lost him in season 1, he's been working on this Nina project to really help Eleven down the road, but honestly, he couldn't have known for more than a few months that Eleven lost her powers. I think he was building this Nina project for the last 4 years to have another more secretive place to carry on his work. And one day get a hold of 11 again and test on her more here. I think he wanted to do some more communicating and exploring the Upside Down with this project. Sam Owens almost made it seem like he only made it to help Elle get her powers back, but in season 2, Brenner's old scientist colleague offered to take Elle and Callie to Brenner, probably in the desert, working on this next big thing. I really liked how much Brenner thinks he's helping Elle and being the good guy when clearly his motives are skewed. I love the flashbacks and I'm so excited to see more of him with Henry Creel after the murders. I love Matthew Modine and I really hope they use flashbacks to give him some more Papa screen time. I think he's going in really good for me. I would love to see more of Papa. Next up, another 54-year-old, we have Eddie's uncle, Wayne Munson. And I know he's a small side character, only in like 3 episodes, but still, I couldn't not include him because he was one of the most loyal characters in all of season 4. This man, since day 1, stood by Eddie's side. Even without knowing anything about what actually happened, he was the only adult in the entire town that believed that Eddie was innocent from the very start. And honestly, his last scene where Dustin told him that Eddie died was one of the most emotional scenes in the whole season for me. Tears were rolling. This man's loyalty and determination in the face of the entire town being against him was so admirable for me that I'm just gonna let him live in good. Next up at 61 years old is Jack Sullivan, and honestly this dude was so annoying. From breaking into Sam Owens' home to trying to kill 11, this man's whole arc was just hunting down and trying to kill Elle, and he's still out there. He could very easily return as another antagonist in season 5, and he still has Owens locked up in the desert for all we know. This guy is going in worst tier for me. Every time he enters frame, I just roll my eyes and just wish he would stop. I mean, good antagonist, but I didn't like him. Second to last is Sam Owens. He's 64 years old, by the way. This man had such a solid spotlight this season. I really like how he was able to orchestrate saving 11 from juvie to protecting her identity and location from Sullivan to building the entire secret desert lab and trusting everything in 11 to be their only saving grace. He's a family man now too. We gotta look at his home life and that he's true to his word and he would do anything to protect those he believes in. He was the good cop to Brenner's bad cop with all the L tests too. I think he deserves to be in really good just because of how much his character has grown this season. And last but definitely not least, the oldest at 67 years old is Victor Creel. It was so epic to see Robert Englund dip his toes in this universe that his Freddy Krueger movies helped inspire so much. I really loved all the Creel murder mysteries and I think Victor was such a great character. There was a lot of speculation going into season 4 around his character and if he was going to get possessed by Vecna to kill his family, and I think they did a really good job at throwing us for a loop with Henry being the killer. I was hoping that they would eventually swing back to Victor Creel, either setting him free or at least telling him the truth, but I figured that they would just move on, and they did. I wonder what his reaction would be to his son being the killer, and actually the reason that hell is breaking loose in Hawkins right now. Either way, I loved his character, easily going in good for me. And I actually have a little something for everyone who made it to the end of this video, which thank you by the way, I appreciate you watching till the end. I actually just posted 2 more wallpapers on my Twitter at itsmichaelj that I commissioned to hold us over until season 5. One is of Elle and her helicopter kill. That gives me goosebumps. You're definitely going to want this one. It came out so sick. And the other is of this wholesome moment between Max and Lucas in the Creel house before her death. I really love these. Go follow me on Twitter and you can use these as your wallpapers too. I'll see you soon in another video, but until then, I will see you on the Discord. Peace.